I'd love to talk then here, Dr. Mullen, about this idea of how can we talk about like some experiences that of sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was thinking about but what are some examples of miraculous answers to prayer? Because in your book you talk about
Yes.
five, you said. So what's going on here? And I find these always super encouraging to hear.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, I list five different kinds of supernatural events, and I have vetted cases of each. I give some teaching about these things and some practical ways to grow in them. So the book has got a lot of practical application, but the five kinds of supernatural events are specific answers to prayer, miraculous healing, hearing God speak to you in five or six ways outside but under the authority of the Bible, angelic or demonic manifestations, and then near death experiences. Now, with regard to the first type, an example would be when I first joined Campus Crusade staff in 1970. In 1971, I was stationed in Golden, Colorado, and I had learned that when we pray, we ought to be specific. And so I had asked the Lord. I was in a conference in California and I was driving back, and I put in my journal, Lord, when I get back there, I've got to find a place to live for my roommate and me. We're working at Golden, this Colorado School of Mines. Would you find us a little white house with a nice white picket fence around it with a nice grassy front yard, about 2 miles from campus, and we can't afford anything more than $110, $115 a month. And I wanted that because it would give us a place for students to come and visit. Well, I got there. I looked for 2 days and I looked at probably 15 places. There was nothing at all in Golden. I finally found a place in about 11 miles away in Denver, but the manager said somebody had taken it. So I was at ground zero. I got a call from a staff member named Kaylin Fenner, and she said, look, I don't know if you're looking for a place to live with Ray, but I was at Denver Seminary, and on the bulletin board, there's a pastor who wants to rent a place to some Christians. I call this guy, and he says, well, meet me at 9 o'clock tomorrow, and gave me directions. And I pulled up to a white house with a white picket fence with a nice grassy front yard, 2.1 miles from campus, something like that, $110 a month. And it was a specific answer to prayer. Now, let me give you another one. Two people in our church, Bill and Ruth Henderson, are just godly, fun people. And I've known them for 30 years, and they just have a reputation as being mature, stable believers. Well, several years ago, Ruth's parents had been on the mission field for decades, working among poor Hispanic speaking people. And they did not have any, they retired. They had no savings to speak of. So they came to America, and they were renting an apartment in north of San Diego. The wife was teaching elementary school, and the husband was helping to plant and nurture Hispanic churches for free. So they had very little income, but they'd had like, I don't know, $2,000 saved. They knew absolutely nothing about real estate or anything like that. But the wife had a deeply burdened heart that she wanted a house to live in. They'd never lived in a house, and they were at the retirement age. And so she said, she told the family, would you pray that God would let us live in a house? Well, she got a realtor, and they looked at several houses one day, but they found one house that was empty. The people had already moved. And they looked at it for about 30 minutes, and the wife said, this is the house I want. Well, the realtor said, how much do you have to put down? Well, $2,000. And she said, oh my gosh, that's not even close. And how much do you make? You won't be able to make the payments. I mean, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're not even in the ballpark here. Well, at that point, she was a little bit downtrodden, but someone knocked at the door, And the realtor went to the door, and two gentlemen were there and said, "May we speak to the owner?" And she said, "Well, the house is for sale, but this couple here is thinking about getting the house. So why don't you speak to them?" And these two guys said, "Well, we are canvassing the neighborhood here, and we came to this house because we work for a cell phone company. And if you would let us put two cell phone towers in your backyard and we'll make them look like palm trees, we will pay you $10,000 a year, and we'll give you 10 up front for 30 years."
Wow.
And they were blown away, and they were able to put that money down on the house, and they had the yearly expense was $9,600, and they were able to pay the house with this. And they just finished the 30 years about 2 years ago, and the house has been paid off. And it was the timing. I mean, if those guys had come 30 minutes before, then they wouldn't have been there, or 30 minutes after.
Yeah.
Being there right when they were there, which and offering this was just, no question about it, improbable, and met the specific prayer request they wanted. That was an answer to prayer, dude.